Hello, everyone. I'm a dude in his 50s, and I'm about to tell you how karma worked wonders on my ex-wife. I hear that you guys love some revenge stories, so I thought maybe I should share mine and see what you guys have to say about it. My ex-wife, Cassie, 48 female, and I have been together for almost 3 decades and married for 25 years. We were going strong until the last year of my marriage. She became a little distant and would snap at me here and there. Like a clueless husband, I didn't know what was wrong with her. I kept trying to do my best and be a good husband until she randomly sat me down one day and told me that she had planned to divorce me. She went on a rant while I listened. Basically, she said that she had fallen out of love with me and thought that I brought no significant value to her life. She thought that I was a useless husband who doesn't earn and just lives off her. Cassie has a successful business that she started using her inheritance from her late father. She decided to leave her job and just go for it. I encouraged her and tried my best to guide her. Over time, her business made lots of money and became very successful. I was handling the customer service and care front by talking to clients and building a relationship with them. I eventually left my job after Cassie told me that she earned enough to support both of us. So I could just help her out at work and help raise the kids at home. I was okay with this because I genuinely liked working for my wife's business. It was our income, and it was enough to sustain the two of us. We were being practical when I decided to leave my job. I helped run her company for over 10 years. It was at a great place at the time of our fight. Cassie and I argued a lot about my contribution to her business and the house. She just wasn't interested in hearing my side and just kept saying that I would be useless without her. She also said that I depended on her company too much, and without it, I would be nothing. That one hurt a lot. I tried to talk about things, but she just served me divorce papers and told me to free her. I finally understood that I was trying to save a failing marriage. The disrespect became too much, so I agreed to a divorce without a fuss. I didn't want to be with someone who didn't love me, and I felt my love for her slipping away each time she would call me a useless stay-at-home husband, among other things. It's true that I didn't go to her work regularly and mostly helped out from home, but that didn't mean I was a mooch. The two of us got a divorce that was fairly easy because of a post-nup we had signed. Cassie had requested me to sign a post-nup because she didn't want me to claim part of her business since it was funded with her inheritance money. There were a few other clauses added, like alimony and stuff, and we got our own lawyers before signing it. I'm not a gold digger or anything, so I had no problem signing it. I probably got screwed over because of it, but oh well. I would rather have my self-respect. Cassie seemed happy when the divorce was done with. We sold the house, split the proceeds, and went about our merry way. I was depressed for a while, but I picked myself right back up. It's been 6 months since the divorce. I never talked to Cassie again. And she didn't reach out either. I didn't know how her company was doing and didn't bother checking up. I had my own job, so I was concentrating on that. It wasn't until last week that I was informed of what was happening at Cassie's company. I accidentally met one of her employees, Neil, 35 male, at a bar on one of my nights out. Neil was all too eager to tell me what was going on. He told me that Cassie was having a hard time keeping the company afloat since people were canceling contracts left and right. I will admit that I knew this would be a possibility. Cassie was right when she kept telling me that the company was hers. So the success was all hers. Here's the thing that she forgot to consider. I was the one who directly dealt with her clients while she only worked in name. She wasn't very involved as the owner. She hired a bunch of people with high salaries because she had the capital. Then she just decided to lie back and watch the money roll in. She isn't a very passionate businesswoman and can be called a little lazy. She was smart enough to know that work would get done by her employees if she hired responsible people. But she was dumb enough to think that her own husband wasn't an asset to the company. She was thoroughly convinced that she could just replace me with someone or take over the role all by herself. I'm not sure of what she had planned. I pretty much decided to stop my involvement in her company and focus on getting a job for myself. I didn't have a lot of work experience, and asking for any type of certification from Cassie would be an insult. So I had to take a long, hard look around to find a suitable job for myself. Whenever any client would reach out to me about Cassie's work, I would just tell them the truth. I told them that I was no longer involved in Cassie's company. We were getting a divorce, so they needed to contact Cassie or someone else who's directly involved with the company. I only mentioned the divorce because they asked why I was no longer connected with the company. Sorry, but I wasn't going to lie for Cassie. Like I said, I was done covering her back. I had already decided that I wanted nothing to do with her company. Most of the clients I talked to were shocked and disappointed, although they didn't directly say anything to me. One of these guys actually ended up giving me a position at his own company. This guy has been one of Cassie's clients for over a decade. So, he knew me fairly well. I got the same job I had at Cassie's. Then something interesting happened. He asked me if there was a better place where they could take their business and if Cassie's company was truly the best option. Since I didn't have anything mentioned about giving out company secrets and stuff, I decided to be honest and just tell him that yes, there were a few better options. I knew Cassie's competitor well and knew who would be able to provide a better deal. That was probably the beginning of the end for Cassie's company. Now, look, my current boss was the only one who I directly talked to about these things. I didn't tell any other client to take their business elsewhere. They probably did some thinking because Cassie was having a hard time managing everything. She had no idea who her clients were and how to deal with them. There was no one who could properly brief her. She hired someone, but it was going to take time for that employee to get to know everyone. Clients were already getting frustrated, so they decided to do a market search and find better alternatives. They must have found good deals because they stopped renewing contracts with Cassie. I got all of this information from Neil. Neil also said that Cassie was turning into a bad boss and was constantly creating new problems in the office. She was taking out her anger and frustration on everyone. Since the company has been losing money, she's been trying to fire employees to not go into debt. She's also being very short-tempered with everyone and pushing them to make unrealistic targets. Neil literally said that the workplace has gotten so toxic that many people are already looking for another job, and he has already found a new one for himself. People are now scared that the company will go under because of Cassie's disastrous management. I didn't know what to say to that. Inside my head, I was laughing my butt off from the satisfaction. Yeah, sue me for laughing at my ex's misery. She threw me away for nothing, and now she's facing the consequences of his actions. I feel no pity for her. She is just a stupid and overconfident woman who can't see right from wrong. She could have become a successful businesswoman only if she had taken her work seriously. She talks about being independent, about being such an awesome entrepreneur. Well, she could have been all of that if she had actually put in the work and valued the people in her company. Her behavior after I left just proves that she's actually bad at this. She was sure of the fact that I would be the one to fail, but the tables have turned really hard. Maybe it will make me sound like a bad person, but I really enjoyed hearing about what happened to her and her company. I was starting to feel bad for the employees, but Neil said that most of them are looking for other jobs, so they'll be okay. I hope they don't end up suffering the consequences of Cassie's actions. Then again, I know they're all talented people with impressive skills, so they wouldn't have trouble finding better work opportunities. But it looks like Cassie will have a lot of trouble getting herself out of this situation. I am thoroughly enjoying what's happening to her. But recently, a friend of mine told me that I was being a major idiot by letting Cassie suffer like that. His logic is that I have helped build the company, so I should have some respect for it and try to save it from going under. Also, he thinks that if I had really ever loved Cassie, I wouldn't want to see her suffering like this. I don't agree with him. I think that Cassie never valued me and made it clear that I'm nothing to her and the company. I never put in a cent towards the company, never had any legal claim to it, so I'm under no obligation to help Cassie. Also, she never asked for help anyway. She thinks I'm a worthless man who was mooching off her. Why would I help her out after this? My friend is being weirdly upset about this, though. What do you guys think? Do I really have any kind of moral or legal obligation towards Cassie? Edit. Okay, I see that you guys have some questions for me. You wanted to know why I had agreed to work for Cassie without having a salary or a stake in the company. Well, I agreed to it because I didn't think she would leave me like this. I truly believe that we had a solid marriage and nothing would separate us. We made a great team, and even Cassie would say that we were a match made in heaven. I don't know what happened in the last year of our marriage, but Cassie just became very distant with me. I tried to cheer her up and all, but nothing worked. She wouldn't talk about it and got mad if I pressed too much. She later told me that she had just fallen out of love and started to resent me for being dependent on her. I had tried to point out to her that I was a major part of her company and literally worked for her. But Cassie didn't see it that way. She saw me as someone she could replace. I guess she just got bored with our lives. The kids are all grown up and out of the house, so this was her prime time to get rid of me, I guess. I'm not sure this also answers your questions about our kids. Yes, we do have two kids. They are well aware of the divorce, but not sure about which side to pick. I'm okay with that because I would never tell them to pick sides. Our oldest is 22 and the youngest is 20, so they are pretty grown up. Even though they have trouble understanding why their mother suddenly decided to leave me. But they kind of couldn't find fault in her statements about falling out of love with me. Of course, we all think it can be possible for people to just fall out of love. I wouldn't have been so mad at Cassie if this were the only case. I would have begged her for a chance and asked for separation so that we could try to rekindle our love one last time. I would have tried my best to see if I could woo her back. She just destroyed everything by belittling me and calling me useless, among other things. Look, I'm not saying that stay-at-home spouses are not valuable and all. I think it's a major responsibility, and I respect people who do that. But calling me a stay-at-home husband is an insult because I did contribute a lot to Cassie's company, but didn't take a salary. If she had a problem with this, she could have asked me to get a job. I would have gotten a job. I wouldn't have minded. But she didn't need to insult me like this and call me a burden when I wasn't. I've done my fair share of everything and have taken on more responsibility than she has. She is lucky that the kids are all grown up because there's no way she could have cared for them in the way I did. She had a really good life, but she decided to blow it all up for bogus reasons. There is, of course, a possibility that she has always been such a snob, and I was too blind to see it. Good God, did I have bad taste in women? It's possibly a miracle she tolerated me for so long. Hello, guys. I really appreciate all the comments you left me. Not all of them were positive, but hey, that's life. You get a little bit of everything. I actually didn't think I would make an update, but I have some things to ask and some things to just tell you. You asked me if I ever felt even a little bit of guilt for what happened to Cassie. The short and sweet answer is no. I don't feel any guilt because I didn't do anything to her. She is responsible for the downfall of her company. I was willing to show her exactly how valuable I was, but she refused to listen to me. This is all on her. I'm not dissing her because she's a woman and all, so feminists, please back away. Women can run successful businesses too, and I happen to know plenty of them. My ex couldn't be one of them because she took things too casually. I did try to make her develop a more personal relationship with clients, but she wasn't interested. To be honest, even if at company events and stuff, most people knew me and talked to me, my wife was okay with that. I think she got off on the feeling of being untouchable. She didn't realize that she was hurting her own image. When I stopped working at the company and the news of the divorce spread, many employees reached out to me and told me that they liked having me around. Cassie never bothered to learn anything about anyone and only saw them as a means to her money. I can't say for sure when she became so money obsessed, but she did. You guys asked if I had any suspicions of her cheating, since everything I said about my wife's sudden behavior change hints at cheating. Well, I thought of it, but I never found any clue. The divorce was fast, and she seemed determined, so I just let it go. I know I made it sound like I was cold and lost all feelings for my wife, but that actually wasn't true. I missed the woman I married and kept thinking about the good years we had. 25 years is a long time, guys. The divorce was hard on me. I think I only stayed sane because I had the worry of starting over with a new job in a new company. I was also busy looking for an apartment after I got my share of the house. It was a very hectic time, so I didn't have the luxury of sulking too much. My kids also tried to be as supportive as possible without taking sides. There were days when I kept questioning myself over and over again about where I went wrong. There were times when I got so desperate that I almost called her and begged her to take me back. I didn't, though, and I'm glad about it. I don't think she deserved my groveling. By the way, I actually do have some updates on Cassie that you may find interesting. After my last post, she kept spamming me with calls and texts. She has been asking me to train my replacement because she doesn't know the existing clients and doesn't know how to make new clients seal the deal. She wants me to help her out. I just told her it was her company and I was never an employee, so I had no obligations to do anything for her. She got mad at that and told me that I had apparently said I would help if she reached out. It's interesting that this phone call came only a few days after I had another conversation with that friend of mine who's taking her side. I had told him that I have no obligation to help Cassie, and she never asked for my help anyway. I am starting to think that he may have said something to her. He had been mostly on Cassie's side in the divorce and kept telling me that I must have messed up in some way that made Cassie leave. He also kept trying to convince me to help her out. I find this extremely weird and fishy. I'm going to start distancing myself from her, especially because he is my only friend who didn't cut Cassie off. If he is feeding Cassie information about me, he's being a bad friend. I tried to set aside our differences on my divorce and just be friends. However, he is stepping over my boundaries now. I would rather not have someone like that in my life. As for Cassie, I will continue ignoring her as I am right now. She can call and harass me as much as she wants. I will need to have a conversation with my kids, though, because they have been hinting that I need to help out their mother. They're grown men, so they can help her out if they want to, but I won't be doing anything for that thankless, entitled woman. That's all I wanted to say for now. You guys can agree or disagree with me. I know I will still receive some hate comments here, but I have grown a thick skin, so I will just ignore them. Update 2. Hello, Reddit. Who knew that I would come back with a new update on Cassie? I didn't think I would. But Cassie is old news, and I'm not even in contact with her anymore. But oh boy, I do have some updates to share. Remember how I had decided to cut off my friend who kept telling me to help Cassie? Let's call him Brian, 47 male. I told Brian that I didn't appreciate how he wasn't taking my side and pressuring me to help Cassie. I straight up asked him if he had been in contact with Cassie because I have good reason to suspect that. He got mad, but didn't deny it. He said that I was acting like a bad guy and I should be more empathetic towards Cassie, who was the love of my life at one time. He kept telling me to just help Cassie for old time's sake until I told him to stop. At this point, I told him that I was going to put some distance between us because he was being a bad friend. Words were exchanged and I ended up blocking him. I informed people in my friend group what happened and why I wasn't going to hang out with them when Brian was present. They have probably discussed this with their wives, who probably discussed this with Brian's wife, Andrea, 42 female. Andrea got suspicious because they had agreed not to be in contact with Cassie. She had no clue that he was still speaking to her. She did some digging and found out some inappropriate stuff. I don't know the exact details because this is all secondhand information. It looks like you guys were right. Cassie was having an affair. It also looks like Cassie was cheating on me with Brian. Everything is a mess right now, and I'm keeping myself far away from this drama. So, I don't have too many details on this yet. It's just a little funny and sad to me that Cassie would cheat on me with Brian. No wonder Brian wanted me to help Cassie out. I feel bad for Andrea, though. The poor woman didn't deserve this. Their kids are teens, so they have a lot to worry about. I don't know if my kids know anything, and I don't plan on telling them. I'm just going to wait for everything to unravel and maybe send Andrea some words of support. That's all I'm going to do about this situation. I have better things to worry about anyway, so I'm going to just let the information come to me. I know that one way or another, I will find out the whole story. If you guys want an update on this, let me know, and I'll come back once I have more information. But be aware that it might take some time. Update 3. I asked you guys if you wanted an update on what happened with Brian and Cassie. Reddit spoke, so I delivered. I got many comments asking me to tell them all the details about what happened and whether the rumors were true. It's been a while, but here I am to give you the full story with all the details. In my last update, I had mentioned that Brian's wife, Andrea, had found some evidence on Brian's phone about a possible affair with Cassie. Well, that theory has been confirmed. Andrea went public with the information. She made sure that every friend of Brian's, including me, was informed of what he had done. So, Brian and Cassie had been having an affair a year before our divorce. That's why my wife had suddenly done 180 on me. Brian was unhappy that he didn't get to live a luxury life like mine, while Cassie was just bored with sleeping with the same person. It's unclear how the affair started, but it happened and had been going on till Andrea exposed them. After everyone knew about it, though, Brian started to beg Andrea to forgive him and cut Cassie off completely. Cassie went crazy at that and publicly blasted herself because she thought she could paint herself as a victim. She said that Brian used her and abandoned her because her business wasn't doing well, and he was only with her for money. I think there is some truth in that statement. Brian probably kept bugging me to help Cassie because he was afraid she would stop being his sugar mommy or something. I don't know if I want to laugh or be disgusted with this statement. It's just bizarre and disgusting at the same time. These two have no shame and no morals. Cassie must have really lost her mind because publicly blasting Brian just destroyed her image even more. Her life has become a train wreck. She became too busy trying to get back at Brian while her company kept talking and losing money. I hear that she has to file for bankruptcy fairly soon. I know this because just yesterday she called me crying and begging for forgiveness. She really was the one failing now, and I proved her wrong. And I'm not gloating, just stating facts. Cassie is in a desperate situation right now. Her company will be shut down, and she has essentially lost all her savings already. The kids already got to know about her affair through her own actions. They decided to distance themselves from her because of everything. My youngest kid recently got cheated on, so he has been exceptionally mad at my wife. He is living with me right now because I know he's going through a tough time. My oldest actually visited me and apologized for not being on my side in the divorce. I assured him that he didn't need to pick a side because I would never ask them to alienate their mother for me. Both of my sons have decided to be temporarily low contact with Cassie. She has become really unhinged, and even her family members have reached out to convince us to help. My answer is still a no. She isn't a child, but a grown woman. She's perfectly capable of facing the consequences of her actions. She should have thought things through before starting an affair with Brian. Speaking of Brian, Andrea is divorcing him. Andrea actually met up with me and we talked about things. She is going to divorce Brian because cheating is a hard boundary for her. She's having a little trouble though because their kids aren't adults yet and there will be alimony issues. But she is glad that she's taking this step. Brian is still begging her for another chance, but she's too disgusted with him to even talk to him. I think she's making the right decision. She is getting a lot of support from all our friends as well, which is nice. Her kids are old enough to understand what happened, so it's not like she has to explain to them why their dad isn't living with them anymore. Oh, yeah, Brian is getting kicked out of their home. I should also mention that Cassie will probably have to sell the second house that she bought herself because she doesn't have any money. Karma really did hit those two hard. I don't have much to say about them other than this, to be very honest. Seeing this unfold didn't make me feel anything. I was just amused and nothing else. I have moved past the divorce and everything, so I didn't have trouble being a spectator. I'm also planning to put myself out there again and see if I can at least make some new friends. My kids are being supportive, so that's one thing I'm really happy about. I don't think I'll come back with another update because I think I have already overshared. This will be the last update. I wish everyone well and hope that you guys will wish me well too. Take care and don't cheat on your spouse, guys. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.